so we hear the air. Okay.
Recording in progress.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Cemetery Commission meeting on February 22nd, 2024. We're meeting in the Lunenburg Town Hall in the Bellata meeting room. Adam, you're there?
I am.
Great. So I'm going to start with first reading this, and then we'll bring everybody on here. In accordance with the requirement of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcasted live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on the notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend in person. Please note that while an option of remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest to any specific items on the agenda should make plans for an in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. A member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair, so as not to interfere with the meeting. The chair is required to inform other attendees of such recording at the beginning of this meeting. If someone arrives after the meeting has begun and wishes to record the meeting, the person should attempt to notify the chair prior to the beginning of the recording, ideally in a manner that does not significantly disrupt the meeting in progress. The chair should endeavor to acknowledge such attempts at notifying and announcing the fact of any recording of these in attendance. Is there someone here today that is recording this meeting?
Yes, there is. Oh, we have the microphone check.
So, again, we have,
Well, my name is John Bowen, 162 Highland Street.
Okay.
I am doing an individual recording of this meeting. I sent an email yesterday
okay,
at
first stop.
45.
Stop for one moment.
Sorry.
I haven't finished. All I asked you was a
Oh.
question. Sorry.
That's
We're not
okay. Go
ready to
ahead.
go there. Okay? But thank you. So the agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Note all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Public participation is encouraged, and public comments may be welcomed during the committee member discussions at the discretion of the chair. Please note during public comment that you have 3 minutes to give your public comment. Thank you. So again, so everyone knows that we are being recorded by Mr. Bowen.
Do you want me to sit down, Ms. Chair?
No, just,
Sorry.
Attorney Costa, could you explain again, because I think there's some confusion that Mr. Bowen believes that if he sends me an email that allows him to tape me at any point in time?
So, Madam Chair, I did see the email that was sent yesterday. I think there were some errors with respect to the date of the meeting that was going to be recorded. But you're correct. I mean, I had stated at the prior meeting of the Cemetery Commission that if an individual wishes to tape or record a meeting, audio or video, they have a right to do so under the open meeting law, consistent with the statement that you just read, so long as you're not interfering with the meeting. Mr. Bowen has done that. He just announced it. I think that that's sufficient for the purposes of this meeting. The sending of the email would not be a supplement or would not be a substitute, I guess I should say, for announcing that at the start of the meeting. So I think Mr. Bowen could probably save himself the inconvenience of having to send that email. But as I said, he's just made the announcement, and that's sufficient to allow him to record the meeting this morning.
Can I respond to that, Madam Chair?
Attorney Costa, do we wait for the public comment if you'd like to make a response, or would you like him to respond now? He's asking.
No, I mean, I leave it to the discretion of you, Madam Chair. There's really no response required. It's just a statement. You asked a question, I provided an answer that individuals are permitted to record meetings so long as they announce themselves, and Mr. Bowen has done that. So I'm satisfied that he's met the requirement of the open meeting law.
Okay,
That was my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so moving along, we call to order the meeting at, it will be 4:12. So the first piece of our meeting, there's public comment. Is there anybody that would like to make a public comment?
I would like to make a public comment, please.
Okay. Thank you. And you understand there's 3 minutes? You
Yes.
have 3 minutes.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Up to 15, I think the law says, with your permission after that, but 3 minutes uninterrupted. Excuse me, I'd like to introduce myself again. My name is John Bowen. I'm here with Jean Marie Price, 162 Highland Street. Jean Marie is here in the galley. I would like to thank the chair and the members for allowing me my 3 minutes of uninterrupted comments. The Cemetery Commission construction plan for a wall is a flawed and clearly erroneous plan. The receipts of these donations that are on the agenda today, prior to town approval of a bid out of a construction plan, which comes under the purview of the DPW to handle such a project, is gravely premature. The wall presentation is also flawed due to the lack of proper construction planning by a qualified construction planner. The proposals from contractors received by the commission is not a pre-production plan, nor an accurate representation of cost calculations. The arborist from Flag Tree, also, of which you mentioned in your last meeting that he is an arborist, he is not. He is not an arborist at all. He is a tree cutter and a landscaper. Okay? They are not licensed arborists. This is one of many issues plaguing the process of this commission overstepping its authority that have been reserved for the DPW, who has all the technical knowledge and skill to be able to make these determinations. Other issues flawed is possible use of minors when working on projects within this community pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 149. The proper planning and placing of the project, putting it out for a bid pursuant to the same chapter. The studies as well, which will reflect evaluation of abutting properties with any changes to town property on any public works project. Studies of noise to comply with town bylaw and state codes upon removal of a sound barrier type structures. These trees are sound barriers going both ways, from residents' properties to the cemetery, from the cemetery out. How these changes will impact, okay, the quiet enjoyment rights of the abutters and family of the interred also needs to be addressed. Your commission used money also from your perpetual care fund to engrave a bench and provide a foundation for this bench in violation of the conflict of interest laws for a donor on behalf of a sitting cemetery commissioner whose passing was as of late. And my condolences go to that family. Okay? It's in their minutes here at the Cemetery Commission, believe me, this is patronage. The request for capital plan money to wash stones and repair fall under the responsibility of the families of the interred unless the cause was a direct result of town function or the stones are old and historical and families no longer reachable. The following items that have been unbecoming of this commission are clear. Libelous remarks in their minutes, making false accusations, calling the police constantly on cemetery matters regarding dogs, placing an advertisement in the newspaper misleading voters with the editing done in conjunction with Michael Ray Jeffries of the Select Board, as well as editing and rewriting rules together with the same. I am scratching the surface. The Cemetery Commission holds no power or duties because the cemeteries do not fall under a cemetery corporation. That's Chapter 114, Mass General Laws. This is why we see these issues. There's no experience on this board with cemeteries, but you folks put yourself before the people as you are in control of operations, which clearly you are not. I state that this commission has no power, that everything you do, you have to have permission of the town manager for money, DPW for day-to-day and maintenance operations, and in conjunction with the cemetery superintendent. This board is a rabble-rousing, controversially elected position that constantly defaults their debate to, why can't we all get along? Well, that is not how government works. Healthy debate, concession, transparency, and compromise is exactly how this works. Stop playing the victim, cemetery commissioners, because I'm speaking for the people. My number is greater than 175 to petition the dissolution of this commission in a duplicitous duty and is redundant for powers reserved for the DPW
You have
and
gone
town
over.
manager.
Thank you very much for your comment. Okay, at this point in time, I'm going to turn this over to, oh, I'm sorry, there's someone. Yes, could you come state, would you like to make a public comment?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street. For full transparency, I'm presently seated as a member of the Finance Committee here in the town of Lunenburg. I am here speaking as a lifetime town resident and a person involved in municipal government here in Lunenburg for more than a decade. I'd like to read directly from the charter, the powers and duties of the Cemetery Commission. The Board of Cemetery Commissioners shall have the sole responsibility to make regulations governing the care, superintendence, and management of all public burial grounds in Lunenburg, and to lay out existing public burial grounds and may lot out in lots or other suitable subdivision with proper paths, lanes, and ways appropriate for burial use, any other land acquired by the town for burial purposes. The day-to-day care and maintenance of the cemetery shall be under the supervision of the town manager. I added a note here, this is my own note. Town manager has tasked the DPW director to assume the supervisory supervision over the cemeteries. The wording of the charter has been questioned since the day the charter was created, especially with the edits that were made including and previous to 8/20/2020. I sat in on many of those meetings as they were reviewing the charter, and the definition between day-to-day care and other maintenance and care items in both the cemeteries and the Parks Commission properties was struggled with and never fully dealt with. So there's still this struggle back and forth between these commissions and whoever is tasked with day-to-day care. There's no clear line between the two definitions. So there's part of the problem. The other thing is that, in my interpretation, this does give the power to the Cemetery Commission to, if I can get back to where it was, I forgot to mark it, make regulations for the care, which is, okay, if they want to make a regulation that the grass will be no more than half an inch long, that's my interpretation, they're allowed to do that. And that has to be followed if they make that regulation. Superintendents, again, there's where the battle is, and management. So this isn't a new thing between what's day-to-day and what is long-term planning, so on and so forth.
Sorry.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Attorney Coster, I'd like to give it off to you on the number 2, which is the response. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I didn't see you walking up.
Hi, Jean Marie Price, 162 Island Street, Lunenburg. I would like to yield my 3 minutes to John Bowen, please.
Hi.
All right, stop for one moment. Attorney Costa, my apologies. I've don't know. She's giving her 3 minutes to Mr. Bowen. Is that fine with the public meeting laws on this, or no?
So, Madam Chair, this, of course, this 3-minute limitation is not a law per se. You, within your discretion as chair, have the ability to impose a limitation on public comment as a matter of maintaining decorum at a meeting and allowing you to get through your business. So it's not a violation of the law. I leave it to your discretion. It's something that some boards will allow, other boards will not, but it's certainly not something that's prohibited if you see fit to allow it.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I'd like to thank Jean Marie for yielding her 3 minutes to me. I just want to make a comment that there were new policy changes and with regard to this commission that were written by Selectman Jeffries. With you, Ms. Yasko, I have the emails, okay? In that, okay, that is a duty reserved for your commission of which the Select Board engaged. According to Mass General laws, it says the Select Board is to be the overseer of these policies and changes, and for them to influence these policy and changes, as Mr. Passios has referred, okay, is a conflict of interest. It's also an ethics violation, okay, for you to engage him. I have multiple emails from you to Michael Jeffries saying, what about this, what about that, can I change this? Can I change that? And Mr. Jeffries responding to those comments. That would be outside the purview of the new rules and regulations for which Mr. Passios happens to be recognizing. The state law which Mr. Passios recognizes comes under Chapter 114, Mass General Laws, which basically states that an elected official to a cemetery commission has these powers and duties, okay? The problem with these powers and duties is that you have clarified in a definition of which you submitted to the town of what superintendence and maintenance is and what maintenance and operations is. But Mr. Passios hasn't read that yet, because if he read that, he would see clearly that the only thing you have power over is lots. That's it, just lots. It's all it says, lots. You can do things with lots, but day-to-day maintenance and operation is reserved for the DPW and the town manager. I thank the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any more public comments before we get the attorney back on, please? Okay. All right, Attorney Coster, I'm going to turn it back over to you for the response to open meeting law complaint from Jeannie Marie Price.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Member Doran. So yes, so the commission responded, you might recall, to an open meeting law complaint that had been filed by Mr. Bowen. We responded, we discussed, and the commission authorized a response to that complaint at its last meeting just a few weeks ago. I was in attendance for that meeting as well. I was physically present for that meeting. We received subsequently a complaint on the open meeting law complaint form. This complaint is dated February 5th from Jean Marie Price. My understanding is Ms. Price is Mr. Bowen's significant other. That's my understanding anyway. And the substance of the complaint is similar in nature in that it refers to the same meeting that both Ms. Price and Mr. Bowen had attended back on November 30th of 2023, a cemetery commission meeting. The substance of the complaint is somewhat different than Mr. Bowen's complaint. It specifically speaks to the issue of adjourning or recessing the meeting that occurred, at which point in time Mr. Bowen and Ms. Price left the meeting, and then the meeting was reconvened a short while later. I think it was 20 or 25 minutes later, and the remaining business of the commission was completed. The concern or the nature of the complaint raised by Ms. Price is that she perceives that to be a violation of the open meeting law. So I reviewed the complaint, as I said, including the materials that accompanied it. Obviously, I'm quite familiar with the matter, given that it is the same meeting that I had researched previously in assisting the board in responding to Mr. Bowen's complaint. I prepared and I circulated a few days ago prior to today's meeting a proposed response to this complaint. In some respects, this proposed response is similar to the response that I had provided you for Mr. Bowen's complaint, but in another respect, it's different. So it's similar in the sense that it refers to the time frame that is stated within the open meeting law, that complaints filed pursuant to this particular procedure need to be filed within 30 days of the meeting that is complained of. Obviously, this complaint being received on February 5th was received far more than 30 days. I think a total of 67 days after the November 30th, 2023 meaning that it's about 37 days too late. So that is one basis for the response to the complaint. But also I included as a footnote, if you have a copy of the complaint before you, you'll see that there's footnote 3 on the first page, which although it declines to respond at length substantively to the complaint, it does note that both Mr. Bowen and Ms. Price were in attendance at the meeting. And I guess I'll just generally summarize as it says. My understanding is that Mr. Bowen was acting in either a disruptive or a threatening manner, or else in a way that caused the commissioners to feel unsafe. That's my understanding based upon my research of the matter and my discussions. That as a consequence, he was asked to depart the meeting. I believe that that's reflected in the draft meeting minutes. That a police presence was requested by the chair, and that Mr. Bowen then left the meeting, apparently prior to the arrival of any police officer on the scene. Again, that's my understanding. You as commissioners can confirm that, given that I wasn't at the November 30th meeting, but both of you were. But that just addresses some of what occurred at the meeting, which I think is generally relevant to the complaint that's been filed. But again, you have the draft before you, consistent with the same procedure we followed a few weeks ago. The next step would be for you to ask me any questions if you have them, or make any corrections to the proposed response if you think they're necessary. And once you're satisfied that the response is the response that you'd like to give, you can then vote to authorize me to submit that response. I will submit a copy. I will submit the original to Ms. Price. I will submit a copy to the Commonwealth, to the Division of Open Government, at the Attorney General's office, and then of course Ms. Price has the same rights that were described to you last time that Mr. Bowen has, which is to further file an appeal with the state if dissatisfied with the substance of the response.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us that. And yes, Dave, you have had time to read that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you want to make a motion to accept?
To accept the attorney's recommendation?
Yes. So we want to make a motion again to accept the recommendation for both the Division of Open Government, which is to the director, and also the other letter, again, that will go out to Jeannie Marie Price regarding that, and we make a motion. Do you second it?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So
Okay,
Attorney
thank you, Madam
Cons-
Chair. Thank you. I'll be sure that this gets finalized likely tomorrow, and will be sent over to Ms. Price, and as I said, to the division as well, and I will send copies to the commission for your records.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you for your help with this, pulling this together. We truly appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'd like to review the minutes and approve those minutes, and I want to give you a copy. You don't have a copy. It's going to take you a few minutes to read it, so I'm going to give you that time, Bill, to read that, and let me see if you see anything in there, or Dave, anything regarding that. Yeah.
I don't see anything glaring, so I'm okay with it.
Is everything okay, what you see? All right, and you?
Make-
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
Motion to accept the minutes of February 5th, 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The minutes are gone through. Okay. Okay, the next up is DPW Director updates.
All right, I only have one. The North and South cemeteries remain closed to vehicular traffic because of the weather. Looks like more coming in tonight, so even though it might look clear today, I think it's just prudent to leave them closed for now.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right. Is there anything? Okay. So we're going to start with, I'm going to kind of move around here on the discussion on for the cemetery commission piece. There's a couple things I want to talk about. One of which is I had gotten information regarding when we had started with, again, I wanted to get the dates correctly with the Rainmaker. So that database was put in 2010. It was a desktop model. That was signed by one of the cemetery commissioners then, as far as to go forward with it, to purchase it, to put it into place. And that has always, from that day forward, has always been purchased by the cemetery commissions. The last one that we did, which was an upgrade to put it in the cloud, was January, February, March, April 12, 2019, which Bill Tyler had signed off on, and again, was decided to go forward with bringing that up. It makes us more protected by being up in the cloud and making sure that everything is running the way it should be. What I would like to know from that time frame, again, where we've always had the password, again, we understand that, again, we brought it up this last time that Heather, I don't know if she wants to be part of this or not as far as to have a meeting put together regarding this, but I am inclined to, again, is getting that resolved. And I'd like to know, as of today, are we all up to date? Was everything in there, into the Rainmaker?
I
From
am not
past
sure.
burials?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay. So what I'd like to do for the next meeting is I'd like to know if everything is up to date, everything is in there that's supposed to be, and that means going back to 2010, meaning anything that's out there that were in the boxes, everything that's underneath your DPW's superintendent's desk, old, when I say old, I want to say historical information that's there. I want to know that that's all in that database. And if not, A, why? And number two is, what is your plan? Do you have a plan going forward to do that? Meaning, if it's, a lot of data, I understand it takes time. But since 2010, we should have a good handle on it. And I'd like to know where we are to date with that, if we could, for the Cemetery Commission.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
have a response next meeting.
Perfect. Okay, so we did that. Now, with that being said, I also found out why was the Cemetery Commission not informed that you gave a refund to a burial plot, and it's called the plot fee. It looked like it was, let me see the date, because I want to make sure I'm correct here, around November 21st, 2023, and November 7th, 2023. I want to keep the names out of the public, but there were two incidents that you gave a refund. Can you tell me why, and why the Cemetery Commission wasn't informed?
I think I know the reason, but I don't know why you would need to be informed.
Why
it's
we
a-
wouldn't need to be
It's a
informed?
day-to-day operation. We sell
Again,
plots every day. We
Now-
don't inform you of that every day.
again, you know, you use the words day-to-day when it's convenient for you, Bill. I'm telling you that the Cemetery Commission has always voted on why a burial is being refunded, number one, and that's always been the way it's been with the Cemetery Commissions prior to me and chairs. I'd like to know why today, again, here we are again, discussing this, and there's no respect for me being chair, because everyone else was able to get this, so why am I the only one that can't seem to get this information from your organization? Can you explain that to me?
I'm not aware of any other refunds, so I couldn't tell you.
You're not aware of the refunds that were given?
Well, this specific one, yes, but prior to that, not aware of any.
Okay, well, there have been, and the cemetery, I believe...
If I may say,
Absolutely.
under the previous chair, there was one, I think it was even last year, where we had a vote and put in the minutes that we refunded the money. So it was on record that we were giving money out of our budget. My concern, after hearing about this today, is that it came from the Cemetery Commission's budget. So, which tells me, if it did go the way I'm thinking it went, and we're under the DPW, you're controlling our budget without us having knowledge of it. Which personally, they're not even part of a commission, personally, I don't think it's fair. But that's my concern right now, that if we did give money back, and I guess you're not sure, you are sure or not sure that we did this time to these two people, I'm concerned that it came out of our budget, which we tried to figure out every year what we're going to use it for. And this wasn't part of what we were going to use it for. Not to say we wouldn't have done it, but I just think we need to have more control of our budget. You know, so that's my,
And I want to make clear on one thing that was stated, that the Cemetery Commission, as far as the state and mandates and understand, is we do have control of the perpetual care. We cannot spend the principal, but what was spent is the interest from that particular. No one else can touch it, no one else, DPW, town, nothing. That sits higher up, and it is under the perpetual care cemetery jurisdiction. And I want to be clear to that. And again, the Cemetery Commission only spends not the principal, never will touch that. It is only the interest on that.
I think if it's possible, because I'm not sure who the people are, but we can find out
I have the people.
either now or next meeting why we returned the money, what was the reason?
I'd like to know why the money was returned.
Yeah.
So
what
could
was
you
the
explain that?
reason? Was it because they're the only people did they go to another town, or? you know,
Yeah,
were they-
I
you know,
believe
what
the
happened?
family moved out of town, and they're not going to be buried here, so they asked for a refund.
Okay, and we weren't involved because you're stating that it's because it's day-to-day business. Is that what I'm understanding? Or day-to-day,
Yeah, correct.
okay. Well-
Maybe make a note that it is part of it's under the rules and regulations.
Well, again, that needs to change, so here's, again, another example of no communication to the Cemetery Commission regarding this.
What was the date?
Now,
November? The date for November last year?
November 21st and November 7th. Now, that brings up another point regarding the capital planning budget. When we asked for how many lots were left in the cemetery, in the North Cemetery, this past summer, or springtime, I should say, I guess it was summer, springtime timeframe, we were given a number of, we'll say 30 to 40 lots that were left there. You and I had discussed possibility of opening up that back field because we were thinking we needed them. Was that the right assumption?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. So we made a decision that we thought that needed to be opened up. I know the town is looking across the board as far as, finances, going forward with expenditures, so on and so forth. So when I'm giving that number, or the Cemetery Commission is giving that number of, we'll say, we're just going to go with 40, just because I kind of remember that in the back of my head, that we were given, you then told me that that was just an estimate, that wasn't a true number, that the cemetery, the superintendent was so busy that he couldn't give us a correct number. Was that correct? Is that what you stated to me?
In an email, yes.
In an email, okay. So when the Cemetery Commission makes a decision on something, I need the data to be correct. And if the data isn't correct, then we can't make a good business decision to go forward with opening up that back lot or not. Because in theory, if there's a way that the Cemetery Commission cannot open that up this year and push that back to another year because of the fact that the town in the financiers are struggling as far as to making sure that things go smoothly with a budget, so on and so forth. If we can save that $50,000 and move it from not this year, but possibly next year, that might be a better business decision to help the town. But if I don't have those numbers, or the Cemetery Commission doesn't have that right data, then how can I make a decision on something that I don't know about, if it's not
So-
correct?
At my presentation to the Capital Planning Committee, which I have the slide right here,
Yep.
I said there are less than 100 burial plots. So they did not vote this high on their list. It's most likely not going to be funded this year. So it is going to be next year, or maybe even the year after.
Okay, well,
Right?
but-
So
Go
even
ahead.
with a smaller number, and part of the presentation was we probably have enough plots available for 2 to 3 years, right? Even going with a smaller number, I said that, they still didn't fund it. Sometimes you gotta go to the well a few times to get the money you need.
I understand, but all I'm saying is, when you sent me back that email, it sounded like you, like I said, had stated that the number that you had given wasn't possibly a true number, only because the superintendent was so busy he couldn't give us a true number. That's not what was stated at that point in time. All I'm saying is, I think for us to go forward with data, I think we need to be careful that it's the correct data so we can make a better plan. That's all I'm stating in that, Bill.
And again, like I said in the email, you could have counted it yourself. It's on the Raymaker, the public-facing site, you can count the number of plots.
Well, but you keep saying that it's your operation of that piece, so maybe you should be the one counting those plots and then giving the correct data to the Cemetery Commission.
Okay?
Okay.
So I'd like to make a couple other points on the Raymaker.
Okay.
I believe you said that the Cemetery Commission has paid for it every year. I think digging through my records, I saw that the DPW has paid for it at least a couple of years, and going forward, we will be paying for it.
No, that's not what I call Rainmaker today. That is not true. I was told again today that it's all been by the Cemetery Commission. We are the ones that put it in, and we'll make the decision, and I will talk to Heather regarding this as far as going forward with this. So
right.
that just doesn't make a Luna, again, you're making your own decision all by yourself without consulting us. We paid it from this far, we put it in, we put it into place, and we will see this through. And I will bring this up to where it needs to be brought up to.
Okay, I believe you're wrong. Then the other comment I have is
okay.
on the refund of plots. That wasn't on your agenda. I didn't know that was coming at me, so I didn't have a chance to
Okay.
prepare for that.
Okay. Well, again, and on the agenda, as you read under the rules and regulations as far as that I can, as the chair, put on there if something comes up to my attention at that point in time. I don't need permission to have it 100% on the agenda. So I want to make sure you understand that. So we're no further ahead on the Rainmaker, and again, I guess it needs to turn into that we either need to get Heather involved or someone involved as far as that regards, and we will work through that. All right, so we will table that again to another time. The next piece is the warrant article amount for the Cemetery Commission. Right now, this is what we've come up with is $10,000. On that, there is about, I think there's 7,000 and something. I haven't got the total number. Can you pass that to Bill, please? Thank you. There is another 7,000, I believe, that is sitting there, so we have about 17,000 that's in, if this warrant goes through with this 10,000, then it will be 17,000 something that we will have for this particular going forward in 2025. Dave, is there anything you'd like to add to this or make a comment before we vote?
No, I'm all,
Are you all set with,
I'm all set with
okay.
the budget.
Do you want to make a motion to
I'll make a
accept?
motion that we accept the budget, hopefully be total 17,000, but
The warrant article will be
The warrant
10.
article for 10,000.
All right, so you accept the 10,000 on the warrant article
do.
today. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's been passed. So we will send that in. I think it has to go in on by the 15th to the Select Board. 14th or 15th, I believe. Okay, moving along to Richard McGrath. I'm going to let you speak first.
Let me, can I just, before we
Oh, sure.
end this, can we put in the minutes that I'd like to have a meeting with the town manager and you and me, or just
You
one
can.
of us with the town manager to go over the situation about the Rainmaker, because I tried, after our last meeting here last month, to get a meeting with the town manager, and to this date, I haven't
Okay,
gotten anything from her, so, because we got to resolve this, and if
it
it's,
will be.
if you can have a meeting with her, that'd be
Okay.
great.
We'll put that down in the meeting notes and try to go forward with securing a meeting with Heather
Right.
and/or whoever else needs to be part of that meeting, which I don't know at this point in time, so I need to research that.
As far as the next topic, Richard McGrath is the chairperson for the Historical Commission, and he couldn't make it here today because he had other meeting to go to, his work, but hopefully he'll be at the next meeting, and the reason that we're hoping he can come to the meeting is to let us know if any part of the cemeteries are under the Historical Commission, which I personally think it is, but he's going to tell us in detail. And if that's the case, is there any funding available through the state or any other organizations, grants or whatever that we can apply for. And then if we apply for it, does the town, like the town manager or the selectmen have to be notified? And do we get their approval at the same time? So hopefully he'll be here at the next meeting.
Okay. And bringing that on, I did talk to Mr. McGrath today. He does apologize that he was unable to make it today. So he had to go into a meeting, so therefore we had to postpone it. We're going to look to try to get Bill the meeting before the 14th of March, only because he's going to be away, so we try to get him in if we could. So I will send out a note again, see what everyone's, if there's a date that you can't make it, just let me know. But he would like to say again, I've done some research myself, which there is a document that Dave will give to him regarding all of this and seeing what is going to be best for, protecting, preserving, and development of the walls in Lunenburg, the old walls that are there. Now, I want to discuss with one thing moving forward, because there's a lot of controversy of talking about this nice gift, a generous gift of $175,000 to possibility build a wall at North Cemetery. Again, nothing is cut in stone. Again, these particular residents would like to be able to do this. They're looking forward to doing that, and we're looking in behind the scenes, what we can do and where we can move forward with it. I do have, again, like I've said in the last meeting, there are X amount of people in this town that would like the wall put through, whether or not we can, again, if everything falls into place correctly, if we can find the funds, the other funds going into it, then that's what we will look into. Again, this is in the learning stages of it. This is in the research stages of it. These people are kind enough to give to the town $175,000. And like I said before, we had endorsements from other people in this town that would like to see this going through. The hedges are not presentable. The pruning of them were not done correctly. And here we are today with the mess that we have there today. And that's what needs to be resolved. And that's what the commission will be continuing to look into to see what is the best for that. And it was my understanding, Bill, that you were going to make sure, if this did go forward, that you were going to make sure that your people, meaning the DPW, will take down those hedges, part of those hedges that were already cut down, that are no longer there. Is that correct? We spoke about that last year. The ones that you cut down, meaning that were cut down, it was my understanding that if this goes forward, again, and I say if this goes forward, with, again, what is going into the plans for the possibility of this gift, enormous gift to be given, that you will do part of taking out of those hedges. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if there is, if you have enough money to put out a contract, or if we get to that point, and it's definitely going to happen, yeah, I think the DPW could take down the hedges and
Okay.
chip them up and...
Okay, so you could you take
But-
down, let me just ask you, I just want to make sure I have it clear from you, is you would take down all the hedges if that's what happens? Meaning, if everything goes in, as we're researching this, making sure that we do this correctly, are you able to, your men, able to take care of taking down all the hedges?
Yeah, to save money
Okay.
for the town, the
That would be
DPW
wonderful.
could take down the hedges.
Perfect. Is there anything else that, again, we will talk about for the future meeting? I will try to look at the dates. It will be before March 14th. Not sure of the date right yet. Is there anything else before we adjourn this meeting?
I have nothing else.
Dave, do you have anything else? Any? Okay. All right, I make it at, what time is it?
12:56.
12:56, we're adjourning the meeting for the Cemetery Commission.